Hello and welcome. Good evening, everyone. Namaskar, pranam. On behalf of organizing committee and on behalf of IQAC Uka Tarsadia University, I wholeheartedly welcome all the delegates and participants to this 1 week EFDP on comprehensive quality initiatives for higher education. Before we move ahead, let us have an opening remark from the chief guest of our EFDP, Honorable Dr. Unnat Pandit sir is with us. So we wholeheartedly welcome on behalf of Uka Tasadia University. Please, we welcome you, sir, to this 1 week EFDP. We request Honorable Dr. Unnat Pandit sir to give his opening remark and inaugurate this 1 week EFDP. Please, sir.
Uh, Namaskar. It is indeed really a privilege to be among such a learned audience. And we are, as a country, are passing through the tough time. COVID-19 is really, nobody would have expected that such a pandemic situation is going to lock entire world. Almost 70% of the population is really at a risk, and we all are witness the kind of pandemic penetration which has happened in the Western world. Somehow India could able to control the things which were happening in 6 days, 10 days. We could able to prolong it to 45 days, and that is something which is a great achievement, which we can say that this is something which we could able to control, and now we are proceeding towards achieving the normal situation. And soon the mobility, rail transport, everything has happened. The one thing which has really affected during the COVID-19 days is the education sector. And we all have learned. We may not have seen that we all will be gathering in such a large arrangement. And this is something which is happening, which has taught us to achieve the new technological upgradation. And we have also started adopting the technology in a routine course. And such a faculty development program, which is being organized by the UTU and the other agencies, are really a commendable job. And it's a altogether a technology driven solution which is being offered to us. And education field is going to achieve a new normal. And it's a high time for all of us to achieve, prepared ourselves, develop our skills for the new normal. With these words, I firmly believe that such a faculty development program need to be arranged, and would formally announce that this faculty development program is as an open, and also actively encourage all the participants to participate in all the activities. Wonderful sessions are being planned, and such a learned speakers are also going to share their thoughts. Your active participation is essential, and definitely this will help all of us in building the strong education system which can really cater the need during the tough time as a pandemic COVID-19. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pandit sir, for your words of wisdom and encouraging and inspiring all of us, including the participants who have gathered in large numbers from all over India. So Pandit sir would be joining us back for his first technical session very soon. So before we move ahead, let me introduce the Professor Shailesh Shah sir, IQAC Director of Uka Tarsadia University, as well as Director of Maliba Pharmacy College, who has an experience of more than 35 years in pharmaceutical science and specifically in quality assurance, who has been a mentor and guide and teacher for almost all the pharmacy fraternity among the state of Gujarat, who is a pioneer in starting the M-Pharma course in quality assurance at LM College of Pharmacy. So I welcome the organizing secretary as well as IQAC director of Ukata Sadia University, Professor Shailesh Shah sir, to give his opening remarks to all the participants. Please, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Curtin, for a nice introduction. Good evening to and namaskar to all participants and Dr. Pandit and Dr. Devang Joshi and other participants who are joined here. I welcome you all to 1 week faculty development program on comprehensive quality initiative for higher education in pandemic era from 26 May to 30th May 2020, organized by Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Ukata Sada University. We at Ukata Sada University take care of students and staff in this COVID-19 situation that they will not deprive from the updating their knowledge. And therefore, we conducting number of sessions on a webinar, and at present we cross more than 90 sessions for the student as well as for the staff member of the UTU as well as of the at a globe of the India and as well Gujarat also. Our motto is to be at the UTU are working for the ensure the quality culture, the prime concern through institutionalizing and internalizing all the initiative taken with the internal and external support. This is the one such initiative where we have invited experts from outside like Dr. Unnat Pandit and Dr. Joshi, Devang Joshi, and our internal expert to share their expertise with us on a quality initiative for the higher educations. And now it is a common practice of the UTU that we first finalize the topic that is global interest or interest for the student as well as from the staff member, what is required, what is the lacuna we observed. And after finalize the topic, who is the faculty, is the expert in that, we invite the faculty and then firmly we convert into the webinar so everybody can enjoy, learn something and increase their knowledge also, correct? Then we have been also optimizing and integrating the modern methods of teaching and learning at UTU in this pandemic era. We also believe in sharing of research findings and networking with other institutions in India and abroad by organizing such academic seminars. 1 week before, we also organized 1 week webinar on the research methodology, and that is grand success. We received the number of initiative or that appreciation from the student as well as for the participant. Under the IQAC, we have been disseminating the formation of various quality parameters to all stakeholders, and FDB is all about the disseminating information on quality parameters like outcome-based education, role of teachers in promoting innovations among students, success mantra for placement, ranking framework of universities and Institute of India, craft of teaching learning, online ICT tools, etc. to one of the main stakeholder, that is the teachers. I request all participants to stay connected online and attend all the session seriously during next 5 days and complete quiz and assignment on a daily basis to certify for this EFDB. I am thankful to all participants for registering in the FDB, and I assure to enrich you with quality initiative for higher education, which you can carry with you at the end of EFDB to your workplace and implement that to bring quality in education. I am also thankful to all experts and resource person for accepting our invitation to share their expertise and deliver talk on a current quality issue for improving the overall quality in the educations. I also appreciate the effort taken by the IQAC members and organizing committee, technical committee to organize this FP. Wishing you all a fruitful learning and stay home, stay safe and take care. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much for briefing all the participants about the EFDP as well as its importance, and about various activities of IQAC, as well as some brief activities of UCA Tarsadia University, which it has carried down in last 2 months of lockdown. So before we move ahead, I would like to bring into attention to all the participants that India has one of the largest and diverse education system in the world. With privatization in education, increased autonomy and introduction of new programs into emerging areas have improved the access to higher education, especially in India. But at the same time, with access to higher education in India, it has also led to a widespread concern onto the quality and relevance to the higher education. So to address these concerns of quality, we have arranged this EFDP on quality initiatives for higher education in pandemic era. Throughout the world, higher education function in a dynamic environment we all know very well. But our accreditation council, that is NAC, has indicated the core functions and the activities of universities as well as institutes through its 7 criteria. So in this EFDP, we will try to touch upon onto few criteria of NAC by outside experts as well as inside experts, which would be highlighting us onto the topics as rightly said by IQAC Director Professor Shailesh Shah sir. So before we begin with our technical session, I would like to introduce to the moderator of our day 1, Professor Ashish Mishra, who is an alumni of Sagar University, Madhya Pradesh, and he has an experience of more than 30 years in pharmaceutical chemistry with teaching as well as research, who is also currently the Dean of Faculty of Pharmacy at UCA Tarsadia University and a very popular teacher among the students. So I welcome Professor Ashish Mishra sir to say a few words onto the current quality initiatives in education sector. Please sir. We would be waiting for Pandit sir. He would be joining in a couple of minutes with us. Please sir.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Ketan, for a very nice introduction. I mean, it is overwhelming that I've been teaching here for 30 years and all. And well, the days when we were started teaching, there were no quality parameters as such to measure. I mean, whatever reflected on our results and our question, I mean, the success of our students in industry and all, that was only thing which could be measured, not otherwise, it was just apparent. But nowadays, with the advent of NBA and NEC, there is a lot of, I mean, there is emphasis on management of quality in the institutes. And looking into that, this EFDP has been organized, has been arranged. We are covering various diverse topics, starting from innovation and startups, which will be addressed by Dr. Unnat Pandit later on, which will be followed by a lecture on quality, whether it is a reality or a mirage. The next day will be have session on about COVID-19, very relevant topic. I mean, we see a lot of misery, and I'm afraid I do not want to call it an opportunity, but then these webinars have provided a kind of opportunity, for want of a better word, opportunity to learn something more, to be appropriate with the current times, and to apply to and to be familiar with the newer technologies which are being applied now. We'll be also be discussing on online tools, which is one of the things very much in vogue and is the call of the time. We will be discussing on patent, and then there are some teaching relevant topics like outcome-based education. I mean, what students learn, that becomes more important, and how it is measured, that will be covered here. That there is learning management system, and then there will be the role of educators in Atmanirbhar India, very combining these two things. Atmanirbharta, though we have been trying to be self-reliant long time back, but we had, in between there was era of privatization, globalization, and we had lost Turkish Atmanirbharta. Now, I'm afraid we're going back there. In fact, it is good that we're going back there. We'll be also talking about a ranking framework of higher education, and then we'll be talking about mastering the craft of teaching and learning on uncertain times. So, see, a lot of current and relevant topics which we're going to be covering, and I hope that these 5 days, every day we'll be having lectures between 3:30 to 6. So we have 12 sessions, and I hope that all of you enjoy and learn something useful from these sessions. Well, I welcome Dr. Unnat Pandit, who's back in here with us, and yeah. welcome Dr. Pandit.
Namaste.
Audience, am I audible, sir?
Yes, I can
okay.
hear you.
Yeah, welcome Dr. Pandit. To my audience, though we are pretty familiar with who Dr. Pandit is, since being involved with Niti Aayog and Atal Incubation Center, I mean, I guess majority of us are familiar with his name and fame and his face. But then, however, as a ritual, I must introduce some of his achievements over here. He is an alumni of Bhavnagar University. He completed his MSc in Organic Chemistry and a PhD in Medicinal Chemistry. Interestingly, his work was in combination with, in collaboration with Alembic Pharmaceuticals, where he synthesized medicinal molecules and had 3 patents from those in his PhD work. He has also received a certificate in management program from IIM Lucknow. He possesses a LLB degree in internal law and also specialized PG diploma in patent law from Nalsar, Hyderabad. So very diverse kind of qualification we see here. He has been involved in academics, in professional bodies, in firms of business, especially in the area of intellectual property rights, management, and in bureaucracy for about 20 years. Okay, he has been dealing with various techno-commercial activities of various organizations in academics, corporate groups, and government. He has been worked as OSD to Commerce and Industry Minister Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman at Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, Ministry of Commerce, Industry, Government of India. He has also been a member of IPR think tank, constituted by the Department of Industrial Policy to draft National IPR Policy of India. He has been academic member of academic councils of various universities in Gujarat and outside. He is a trustee for research at IP Care Foundation. He is currently involved in planning, implementation, and monitoring of various central government initiatives under Atal Innovation Mission. He is also involved in formulation of policy for promotion of innovation entrepreneurship under Atal Innovation Mission, a nodal agency of NITI. He has 14 research papers to publication and has also possessed 8 patents from his research work. He has written 3 books on Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam in Hindi, Gujarati, and English. And presently, this book is being also translated in several other regional languages like Assamese, Marathi, Telugu, Malayalam, and Tamil. Okay, and this book is also being developed under Braille. Okay, so I welcome Dr. Pandit to address the gathering on innovation and such matters. Welcome, Dr. Pandit.
Thank you very much for the introduction. See, as in my previous brief, I have shared with you some of my views, wherein this entire era is passing through the transformation. And we have always emphasized and believed on our knowledge. India has a rich tradition of utilizing the knowledge which is really useful for the people. We are defining the process and optimum utilizing the technology. And by doing this way, we are ensuring the advancement in the livelihood of a common people. While we are doing it so, education sector is playing a major role for all of us. And we are part of the entire system. Hence, it's a high time for all of us to redefine the education sector, utilize the technology, and how we can practice the technology in the betterment as well as improvement of the education sector. An insightful flow of knowledge and information should reach to the each and every student who is pursuing their graduation, post-graduation, or even the schooling as well. And while we are passing through this, we have to ensure that we achieve the excellence in the education sector. An entire domain is going to set a new normal. And what is going to be the new normal in education sector or education technology? We, the people who are engaged with the education field, are going to define this. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, has given us a mantra of achieving the Atmanirbhar Bharat. And for achieving this Atmanirbhar Bharat, he has given us to focus on 5 pillars. First one is the economy. Second one is the infrastructure, then system, then demography and demand. And in order to have a holistic growth of our country in all the 5 sectors, we need to ensure that we have a cutting-edge solution which is bringing entire 5 pillars to define the new normal and achieve the self-reliance. That's a Atmanirbharta for our country. We, the people of 135 crore population, are generating a huge data. And entire data which we are generating is in a raw form. Whether it's at the education sector, students' skill, students' interest, students' use of library, students' attendance, students' appearance in the practical activities, students' interest in the co-curriculum activity. So many data. Crores of students are actively engaged with all of us. And all the data which is getting generated is in a raw form. We need to translate this data into the meaningful information which can be utilized in the betterment of student, betterment of institution, betterment of the field of education, and in turn, state and the country. And with entire knowledge domain, which is closely attached with this, it's a high time for us to define this knowledge and information in context of societal upliftment. And we all need to define the education technology sector, creating with the wide wisdom and the application which can really transform the livelihood of each and every citizen of the country. And that much power this education domain is having. And I appreciate if you have any comments, please do post your comments in the Facebook chat as well, so that we and the organizers see your feedback. And I always like to have a live chat, live interaction with all the speakers and all the participants. So we'll do appreciate, I am reading all your comments and I am also reading all your views. So please, Meena Patil ji has also appreciated, wish every participant. So share your views. That will really be an insightful thought process, and we all can derive a meaningful conclusion. And that's what Chanda Chakrabarti ji, nice, it's good. Rabu Ola ji has also mentioned a very long message which has their own contact details. But rather than sharing the contact details, I would appreciate you to focus on the topic and share your views. That is something which is going to help all of us. This COVID-19 time and the education technology sector is really passing through the disruption and change. And entire world is passing through the uncertainty. And this uncertainty, even in education sector, which is almost going to be off the classroom, and we have already passed more than 65 to 70 days, and still 30 to 35 days all the classrooms, maybe all the students may be off the classrooms. And it's a time for all of us to redefine the new creative solutions, strategy to improve the skill set of the faculty through such a wonderful faculty development program. Entire program is designed efficiently and effectively. It's time for all of us to really actively participate into all the sessions. And friends, next, post COVID-19, one important aspect we all need to keep in our mind. Campus placement is going to have some impact. We don't know how the campus placement are going to be, but it's a high time to prepare our students for the alternative. When plan A is not working, I would appreciate all the faculty nurture their students towards the plan B. And plan B is of the startup, entrepreneurship, and explore them or nurture them towards the innovation field. Research and innovation which can really ensure the pivotal transformation of entire technology sector, education sector, and will also transform the business and the livelihood. The education sector, which we are experiencing during the unprecedented calamity, which has really impacted all the students. And it's a high time for all of us to nurture their creative skills and the innovative skills. How we can help them ideating something which is of a relevance to the societal problem. Can we do this? If your answer is yes, don't hesitate, put it in your chat box. Answer must be a yes. Why? Students can really nurture their creative skills, can learn the new and futuristic technology platform. The online education and the medium, which is going to be a useful technological insight which every student will use. It's a high time for all of us to nurture their creative skills, nurture their innovative skills, and really ensure that they are designing the meaningful solutions. During the COVID-19 times, I must mention here, and I can't resist myself from mentioning, everywhere in the world, they were facing the crisis for the ventilators. Our Indian startups, researchers, and innovators have designed a meaningful and useful ventilators. And these ventilators, they have reduced the cost by even a 10x or a 20x. The ventilator which were available ranging from 20 to 35 lakhs, they have been successfully reducing the cost of a ventilator by even 10x or a 20x, maybe around 1 lakh or so. The Vayu and the Pran Vayu, these are the few brand names which innovators have used for offering the ventilator. And this is something which is really, I am convinced that education sector, if they upskill the students, nurture them properly, they are going to offer wonderful solutions. And this powerful innovation can only be built by the active participation of the education sector, academia. And I firmly believe that the three people in the world has a power to transform any sector. And the three people are Mata, Pita, Shikshak. parents and the teachers have the power to transform entire world. If we rightly appreciate the students, no matter whatsoever it may be, student may face the failure. It's our duty to groom them, nurture them. And in the post-COVID crisis scenario, we all have a moral responsibility to nurture the students and ensure that they are offering something which is in relevance to the society. They are offering the solution which can really transform the livelihood of the common man, and really from classroom they need to see the world on ground. Whatsoever they are designing from the mind, they should have a focus to deploy into the market. And we means I include myself and everyone in this gathering, are nurturing the students towards creating the creators, building the innovators of the future. If we all have to build the innovators, then we all have the collective responsibility to nurture their, to define their think process. And while doing it so, I believe that 4 skills will be required for tomorrow's innovation workforce. And I count each and every student's faculty in building this future innovation workforce. The first one is the omniscience. Omniscience means whatsoever the learning which is surrounding to us, that may be useful or may not be. But for building the tomorrow's talent, this knowledge and insightful thought process will help us. So build the students and the teachers towards exploring the omniscience opportunities surrounding to all of us, and utilize them towards building the effective solution which is available in future. The second one is the building the entrepreneurial mindset. As I have said earlier, that students may not, all the students may not have the campus placement. But if students, specifically the bright students, are nurtured towards the building their entrepreneurial mindset, then they have the power to carry out the R&D skills, develop the products or services we can really optimize according to present need, and really transform the livelihood of a common people. The third and the most important thing for each and every faculty, students who are pursuing the startup journey. And in this startup journey, managing the bottom line, those who have a financial background, they will have a understanding, fair understanding about managing the bottom line. What is the bottom line? The earning out of all the expenditure, which can really give us the number which is a net profit. And this net profit, in order to achieve the net profit, we all need to manage the bottom line operations. Where the cost which is going high, we need to always have a focus on building the strategy which can always give us a positive bottom line. And this is high time for each faculty, students to design their startup strategy in order to achieve the new and useful composition which can really offer the positive bottom line. And the fourth one is the ethical intelligence. No matter whatsoever any student is doing, any startup is doing, any faculty who is nurturing, and whatsoever they may be publicizing, but the ethical intelligence will catch them. It's a high time for all of us to explore the design thinking or design the decision making process. Whatsoever the company corporates where you would like to offer the technical solution, and whatsoever any student faculty is claiming that they have deployed n number of opportunities for the common man, unless they offer the ethical practices in their operations, nowhere their result will be the visible one. And everybody will be focusing on your solution. So you are not just doing what is required, whether you are offering the AI solution, ML solution, or any other pharma solution, healthcare solution, anything which you are offering, world is watching you. World is ensuring that whatsoever you are offering, that should be really in sync with the societal need. And in order to achieve it so, we all need to design this solution which are self-reliant, the solution which are cost-effective, solution which are technology-driven, offering innovation, which are citizen-centric. And really it should have, or it must have, relevance to the need. Many startups are failing during the research to the success journey. And they are mainly because they are working on the problem which is not required by the society. And many startups merely copycatting the Me Too offerings which are there in the Western world. It's the time for us to redefine the goals, change the standing position. And while doing it so, we can really offer the cutting edge solution which are required by the society. I would like to quote one of the research which was recently published few days back, and that was on the education sector. China has a edtech solution market which is almost going to achieve $88 billion. While India is going to achieve $1.96 billion market in simply one education technology sector. We have a technology adoption far better than the Chinese people. Why? Because we have a young population, and young population is technology savvy. Deepji, really it's a right time to start up a new business. And for that, it's a high time for all of us to nurture the students. And I completely agree with Mr. Deep Patel, who has given the comment. While we have a better technology adoption, China is 40 times high. Why is it so? They are customizing the solution which is required by the people. They are offering which is going to be useful to each and every community. And they have really a focus of offering the solution which is required by the community. And while we are doing it so, we need to ensure that startup overcome with their failure. And incubation, Atal Incubation Center, Technology Business Incubation Center, or any such incubation center plays a major role in the journey of startup. If we want to achieve the 40x scale, then we need to help them. And where faculty can really play a major role. Faculty can really help them defining their market need. Even if students or founder are failing in a right combination, but faculty can really design a useful novel strategy which can really develop a fruitful business model, and entire focus will have a holistic approach towards achieving the success. No matter they are running out of cash, they have a passion issue, they are poor at marketing, but an effective incubation center really play a major role. And in order to achieve the self-sustainable innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem for India, it's high time for all of us to know what we have and how we can improve our knowledge. We have to rejuvenate the inherent innovative culture in the society, and the community will appreciate the new and useful solutions. And of course, it's a high time for all of us to nurture the big idea which students are dreaming. No matter whatsoever may be the big idea, it will always start with small. I would like to quote here a few examples of India's well-known industrialist, Mr. J.R.D. Tata. He has started the entire Tata empire, struggling a lot, but now India has a biggest brand value in terms of a Tata. Same thing has happened with Dhirubhai Ambani. He has started the entrepreneurship journey or taken a decision of pursuing the entrepreneurship journey when he was outside India. When he landed, the situation was not favorable. He wanted to transform entire cotton industry and also wanted to have a really eye-catching benchmark or want to be a key player in the petroleum sector as well. But he has started with a small. His first business was, can anybody guess what was his first business? Can someone write their answer here? I want audience participation. So would really appreciate if they could also write their answers. Can anybody say that what was Dhirubhai Ambani's first business in India? Many people are from Gujarat. I appreciate that they should at least answer this. He was selling pakoda. He was selling the pakoda at this Girnar hilltops. The people who were climbing the hills, Girnar hills, he was selling pakoda to them. He was also coming from Chorwad to sell all this pakoda. This is something, whatsoever may be the big idea, one has to think about starting from the small. Similarly, one legendary pharma player and iconic dion of the pharma industry, Shri Indravadan Modi ji. He has again started his journey of establishing the pharma company on a bicycle. In the morning hours, he was manufacturing the formulations, and his first employee was his wife. And morning he was preparing a formulation, afternoon he was supplying this formulation to the stockists, and in evening hours he was making a call to the doctors explaining the benefits of the formulation which he was designing. And this was the struggle phase. Fortunately, in today's time, government is ensuring that startups are achieving the success. Startup is nothing but initiating the entrepreneurial journey, and with the mission of transforming the idea, transforming the society with the idea and market-ready products and the solution. We all want that India should take a leadership position, Vishwa Gurutva, in the technology domain, innovation domain. We all have a same vision for the 21st century. But how this will achieve? This will be achieved by realizing the true dream. Dr. Kalam has always said that dream, dream, dream for the dreams which can come true. And we as a faculty, we can play a pivotal role in ensuring that students are dreaming a useful innovation, dreaming for their entrepreneurship, dreaming for the research problems, dreaming for achieving the useful solution. No matter, we can't change the future. Before 3 months or 4 months, we have not even thought that entire nation will face the lockdown. Nobody in the entire prediction, people used to, all astrologers used to give the prediction. Have we, anybody of us have read our prediction on the 1st of January or during your Ugadi, during your Diwali, during your festival time, that entire 2020 you are going to stay in for more than 70 days in your home? Still you will be connected with entire world. Did any astrologer predicted this? The simple answer is no. We cannot change our future. But Dr. Kalam has rightly said, it's our innate potential which is going to change the habits. While attending this faculty development program, your habit for the FDP is going to change. And again, I am noticing and I am encouraging you, your habits are going to change your future. So without waiting any time, it's a high time for all of us to nurture the students in athletic terms. It's a winning leap which we have to teach students to cross. And technology and innovation will help them crossing the winning leap for our India in order to build the Atmanirbhar Bharat. आत्मनिर्भर भारत का सपना तभी साकार हो सकता है जब हम आत्मनिर्भर स्टार्टअप शुरू करेंगे. हम ऐसा विजन लेंगे कि आत्मनिर्भर इनोवेशन तैयार हो. इस इनोवेशन स्टार्टअप की जर्नी में, आत्मनिर्भर भारत के निर्माण में फैकल्टी has to play a catalyzing role. And with this word, I would like you to express your dream, what you will be doing once you entire education sector is going to achieve the new normal after the COVID-19 era. And with this word, I would be look forward to your questions, will look forward to your views in the chat column. Dr. Nega, really the thing you have added is going to be a useful. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Pandit. It's a very informative, very motivating, and very eye-opening kind of lecture. I mean, we hardly get to listen to somebody on startups and innovations. We come up with our own research articles and present them as a startup. Yeah, I mean, there are different ways. There are a few questions here, sir. I have noted down some of them. Some of us are suspecting whether our universities will be able to take up this startup initiative and be able to commercialize this. I mean, are there systems in place, processes in place, which can help in commercialization of academic startups?
See, academia also need to change the focus.
Yeah.
The kind of a research which we are doing, we should be ahead of industry.
Yeah.
That means we need to collaborate with the industry while we are conducting the academic research.
Yeah.
We should have a focus of offering something which is new and innovative and which is required by the industry. If we cannot commercialize, we can collaborate with the partners to commercialize. And while achieving the commercial offering for the startups which are nurtured in the academic field, we can also offer to the government of India through government e-marketplace and also offer your innovative solution under many other programs like Atal New India Challenge, Atal Research, Applied Research and Innovation for small enterprises. Many such innovation challenges which are already published on various platforms. Startup India has also published various challenges. By participating, we can really nurture the commercial utilization of our innovation. Shravan, one more question which I have read. Shravan Kumar Ali Gati. See, he has point blank asked a wonderful question. Indian scientists developed the ventilator which reduces the price. But this was not happened pre-COVID era. Why? Pre-COVID era, we may not have even visualized that entire country is going to face such a lockdown situation. Nobody would have predicted that coronavirus is going to damage in such a huge way. More than 50 lakh people are going to suffer with the corona, which is historic one, and we don't know when it is going to stop. When the problem was not defined, why somebody will apply their resources? Now researcher will have a more focus on infectious diseases, offering a new, innovative, useful and cost-effective technology innovation. That's why I have said in my views that data, information, knowledge, and wisdom can be utilized effectively for 5 pillars which are mentioned by Honorable Prime Minister. And with the mission of Modi ji, we can achieve the excellence, we can achieve the Atmanirbharta if we are effectively innovating, effectively offering the technology and innovation which can really make the transformation for the common man in the country. And that is going to be the ultimate achievement of research innovation for our country.
Sir, you have been involved in research industry. I mean, this is something around 30 years back that you worked in collaboration with industry and come up with something concrete, I mean, some innovation, some newer product. So how could you yourself achieve that when there was no process in place where industries were pretty much skeptical of academic institutes and academic, similar universities also were very skeptical of industries?
So I have worked on norfloxacin moiety and synthesized first time in the world 154 compounds. It's our first time in world. Nowhere these compounds are reported. I have screened them for the antibacterial, anti-infective activities, and also have licensed. I have done my PhD under University Industry Collaborative Research Project. And I am proudly saying that Bhavnagar University has offered me opportunity to conduct my research, which is first time in the world. Provided all the resources and whatsoever may be the compound which I have synthesized, I have out-licensed them to the industry partner. And we have also got the patents. Unfortunately, at that point in time, academic institutions were not prepared enough to nurture for the entrepreneurship. And hardly 1% or less than 1% students were pursuing the entrepreneurship journey right after their graduation. And that was the tough time. But yes, situation has now been changed with the help of ECOM, National IPR policy, Startup India, Atal Innovation Mission, DST initiative, DBT initiative. Now there is a huge encouragement and motivation to the students towards nurturing their startup and entrepreneurship journey. And that is really going to transform the country. And if we want to achieve, again, I will repeat the same thing. If we want to achieve the Vishwa Gurutva, then it's a high time for each faculty to nurture their students towards the startup entrepreneurship journey. Out of 100, we may have a less beginning with say as a 5% or a 10% student. But gradually in 1 or 2 years, the entire situation is going to have a vertical shift. This 5 to 10% student will reach up to 30-35%. And entire focus of society is going to be on entrepreneurship. So that's why with this word, I would like to appreciate your efforts in brainstorming on a useful topic which is going to build the future, which is going to build the new India of dream which we are seeing. And we are fortunate enough to sail in the same development journey. And COVID-19 has also given us a high time to brainstorm, to nurture our creative skills. If we are utilizing our talent effectively, then only we can nurture our students. So it's a high time for all of us to explore the new and useful journey. And I convey my best wishes through UCA Tarsadia University organized faculty development program for the great success in near future. And you will be returning to your institution with enormous energy which is built in you, and you will transform the livelihood of Commonwealth by nurturing your students to design useful and innovative solutions. Thank you very much for your views, and I also thank organizers for allowing me to express my views. Thank you.
Sir, can we have 1 or 2 more questions if you have time?
I have one more session which is following. I've committed to stay with all of you up to 4:50. So somebody else is also waiting. So I'm sorry, but appreciate if you can collect all the questions and share it with me on my email. And for all the participants, if they would like to connect with me, then Unnat Pandit is my ID on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Same ID. Just type Unnat Pandit and follow me. I keep on sharing my views. I keep on posting about new innovative trend which is happening into the startup innovation domain on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and also on various other social media. So you can follow me by clicking on a Unnat Pandit. Unnat, UNNAT PANDIT is my ID. So you can reach out to me. I'm sorry, I have to limit myself because some other audience is also waiting. Thank you very much for the wonderful interactive session.
Thanks a lot, sir, for your very encouraging and very novel remarks regarding this innovation. Obviously, we have a kind of we're waiting for the other speaker, so you have to join with us. So that's why I wanted to ask a couple of questions to kill the time, rather.
Yeah, but I think you can take the brainstorming session.
Okay.
Let participants also share their views on the points which I have shared. It's
questions
for all the faculty.
Yeah.
In faculty development program, it is important for you to share your views.
Yes.
Whatsoever maybe I have conveyed, what you are getting, and type a bullet messages in this chat box. By this way, you are not only helping yourself, you are also helping other peer faculty who are in this forum. And this is the time where you can share your knowledge and be open. Everybody is facing the same situation in the COVID-19 era. So don't hesitate writing your views. You can merely repeat the views of speaker, and that is going to help you. Maybe in this 30, 40, 45, 50-minute session, what you have gained, can you just jot down? Can you write a 5 bullet point from what I have shared with you? That's really a recap of entire presentation. And kindly do it for all the speakers. And this is going to build your notes as well. I try to advise you on this, but this is going to greatly benefit each and every faculty who are going to attend this. And that's going to really nurture all of us who are building the strong responsibility. Training this session. So without any comment, I would like to take a leave from this session. Thank you very much. Yeah.
We have our next speaker, Dr. Devang Joshi with us now. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. सर आप 2 मिनट
वेलकम
पार्टिसिपेंट को 2 मिनट ब्रेक देना चाहोगे?
Let's give the 2 minutes break.
Let the participant just relax for that. I hope the first session was good, right?
Yeah, it was on innovation and startups. Obviously, Dr. Pandit's field, yeah. So I guess there were a lot of comments on that. So we were discussing all those things.
Okay.
Wish that you had also there, but then anyway, network has its own issues.
Right.
So, sir, lockdown at home?
Yeah, I am right now in office. We have been working
in office, right?
We have been working since 20th April.
7 hours you're allowed to move, I guess.
Yes, 7 to 7 we are allowed to move, but from 20th April we were working only till 12 o'clock. And recently, after this lockdown, we are allowed for 31st May till देखते हैं फिर बाद में क्या. Yes, sir. Please.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Your voice is available. I mean, I can listen.
Hello. There are issues with connectivity.
Are you able to listen me?
Okay. So shall we start, sir? Dr.
Yes.
Joshi?
Please.
Yeah, I'm able to listen to you. Sometimes the voice.
Yeah, there may be some lag, but that's fine with me.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, welcome Dr. Devang Joshi. For the audience, because I have been pretty familiar with him, meeting him for the last many years, but for the audience, let me introduce him. He is a man of technical and managerial skills. He had his degree in BTech in the late 80s from SP University, and then he joined with various civil engineering projects for many a year. Later on, he joined with the management program at the same university, and he completed his MBA in finance management with a gold medal at the level. Later on, he took an employment with the Sri Charodar Moti Sattavis Patidar Kelwani Mandal, a trust managing education in the Anand district, one of the very well-known trusts, very progressive trust of the region, and he joined as a director of a vocational training institute. But as he had he has ideas in his brain. So he came up with this idea of starting engineering college at the same campus, and this college came into being in the 1999 through his solo effort. 2009 of its very his motivation and all his efforts. And the university we started with only 240 students, and one university became now has 62 different programs and has around 7,000 students. So you can see the progress the place has taken in 10 years. He has been running, managing as a registrar of the university. So he has now planned to start hospital and medical college in the same. And they have a plan to have a 450 bed hospital, quite a big one for that region, sir. Invite Dr. Joshi. He's a widely traveled man, has a lot of experiences to share those experiences in quality management and quality measurement. Welcome, Dr. Joshi.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody, and I hope that all of you are safe and sound at your homes. As Dr. Mishra said, I have some good exposure in quality management, especially in my university. And that's how probably I have been found fit to talk about comprehensive quality initiative for higher education in pandemic era. I have handled around 4 to 5 quality inspections. They were from several agencies like NAC, NBA, UGC teams, and KCT, which is one of the bodies in government of Gujarat, and then NABH inspections also. So whatever I have tried to compile here in my presentation, it comes out from some theories, but more of my practical insights. So I will right away share my presentation with all of you. You can give me a minute. Yes, so this is the title of our presentation. I'll be discussing in this session something about quality, then quality systems in higher education, then how to achieve quality maybe in post-pandemic era or in general, and then concluding about our discussion. See, for a layman, the quality is having several meanings. I have drawn it from dictionary.com, but there can be other dictionaries also. But it means that it is an essential or distinctive characteristics or property or an attribute of a particular thing. For example, chemical qualities of alcohol. Similarly, it can be a character or a nature as belonging to or distinguishing a thing. You can say, we generally say quality of a sound is good or bad, like that. Character with respect to the fitness or grade of excellence, food of poor quality or silks of fine quality, like that. High grade superiority, excellence, these are the words which are many a time used synonymously with the quality. For example, we can say that good grain is of quality. And similarly, maybe we also attribute personality characteristics like kindness is one of our many good qualities. And sometimes we also say that this man or that woman is of good quality. So it is indicative of the social position. But this is a layman definitions. These next two definitions or the concepts are given by the two quality gurus of our times. One is Joseph Juran and the second is Edward Deming. Something which is very connecting to both of them are that when Japan was bombed in Second World War and then it was starting to rebuild in 1950s, they invited these two Americans one by one to help them to build their industry. So it is something ironical that you have Americans bombing Japan, and then Japanese are inviting Americans to build their industry systems. But we can see now that Japan is now known for good quality, and this irony has paid the dividends. Anything that aside, what does the Joseph Juran say? He was basically an electrical engineer. So he says that quality means that a product meets customer needs, leading to customer satisfaction. And quality also means all of the activities in which business engages in to ensure that the product meets customer needs. So he's talking basically about product which is meeting the customer needs. Deming, he is talking about a little different dimension. He says that good quality means a predictable degree of uniformity and dependability. So he's bringing in the concept of dependability or consistency. With a quality standard suited to the customer, the underlying philosophy of all definition is the same, consistency, as I told you. So what is the implication for us? Us means people who are working in an organization or maybe an individual. It has two dimensions. So one is quality we are talking of is products or services. So there will be product providers or there will be service providers, and then there are product users or service users, which we generally call customers. So satisfaction of those users. So these two dimensions are essential components of a quality definition. So the duality of this definition introduces the question whether quality is something absolute and objective. Means does it differ from person to person or it is absolute? Or the quality is something subjective and driven by perception. So let's, before going there, let's see a small video which will help you. Just give me a second, sir.
Yeah.
Share audio, sir. Share audio.
There were 6 blind men who grew up in a village in India. The community kept them safe and shared with them many stories. The men were curious about many of the stories they heard, but they were most curious about elephants. Based on the stories that each of them had heard, they argued about what elephants must be like. The community grew tired of these arguments and arranged for the men to visit the palace, where they were greeted by an old friend from their village who worked as a gardener on the palace grounds. Their friend led them to the courtyard. There stood an elephant. The blind men stepped forward to touch the creature that was the subject of so many arguments. The first blind man reached out and touched the side of the huge animal. An elephant is smooth and solid like a wall, he declared. It must be very powerful. The second blind man put his hand on the elephant's limb or trunk. An elephant is like a giant snake, he announced. The third blind man felt the elephant's pointed tusk. I was right, he decided. This creature is as sharp and deadly as a spear. The fourth blind man touched one of the elephant's 4 legs. What we have here, he said, is an extremely large cow. The fifth blind man felt the elephant's giant ear. I believe an elephant is like a huge fan, or maybe a magic carpet that can fly over mountains and treetops, he said. The sixth blind man gave a tug on the elephant's coarse tail. Why, this is nothing more than a piece of old rope. Dangerous indeed, he scoffed. The gardener led his friends to the shade of a tree. "Sit here and rest for the long journey home," he said. "I will bring you some water to drink." While they waited, the 6 blind men talked about the elephant. "An elephant is like a wall," said the first blind man. "Surely we can finally agree on that." "A wall? An elephant is a giant snake," answered the second blind man. "It's a spear, I tell you," insisted the third blind man. "I'm certain it's a giant cow," said the fourth blind man. "Magic carpet, there's no doubt," said the fifth blind man. "Don't you see?" pleaded the sixth blind man. "Someone used a rope to trick us." Their argument continued, and their shouts grew louder and louder. "Wall! Snake! Spear! Cow! Carpet! Rope! Stop shouting!" called a very angry voice. It was the Raja, awakened from his nap by the noisy argument. "How can each of you be so certain you are right?" asked the ruler. The 6 blind men considered the question, and then, knowing the Raja to be a very wise man, they decided to say nothing at all. "The elephant is a very large animal," said the Raja kindly. "Each man touched only one part. Perhaps if you put the parts together, you will see the truth. Now, let me finish my nap in peace."
So friends, till our speakers comes back, let us say quality has different perspective to different individuals. I mean, there are sometimes quality standards which are set in by some larger organization or the initiator. Let's say, for example, in the initial days, when this Xerox become a synonym for any photocopying, right? Welcome, sir. Welcome back.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No issues. Carry on, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so we saw that interesting fable, very ancient Indian fable, but it is bringing out the dilemma of the quality. If we consider these 6 blind men as different stakeholders of an organization, they view an organization from different perspective, and they have different expectations or maybe a different view of that organization. So somebody who is in the organization, in the management, or maybe an employee, he has to take this position of a king who knows that elephant, the holistic view of the whole thing. And that is where these classical dilemmas of quality are getting introduced, which is related to our topic, whether reality defines the quality or whether the perception defines the quality or whether it is both. According to me, the first dilemma, whether quality is reality or a perception, I believe that quality is a continuum of the both. On the one hand, we have this reality, and on the other hand, we have perception. Let us take example of Nano. Ratan Tata promised that he will have a car which is accessible to the common man of India. And so he designed the car. He ensured there were more than 42 innovations, and he also ensured affordability. If we look at the dimensions of the car or the availability of the car to the common man, including the price, that was a reality. But then, how did the public perceive the nano car? Most of them perceive that it is the car which a person who is having economic constraint will be used. It is a car which is for a very common man, not for people of class. That's how the sales of Nano took a plunge. So there has to be a mix of reality and perception. That's why I say that quality is some reality, but there is also a media. What is the another dilemma? Quality dilemma is provider's view as well as. I will explain it in a different way. In marketing, we study Theodore Levitt, who is talking of marketing myopia. There, Theodore Levitt says that you shouldn't be falling in love of your product. The classical example could be Nirma soap. Somehow Karsan Bhai liked the name of Nirma. He is still in love of the word Nirma. So when he introduced the beauty soap, he still named it as Nirma. But then the brand had a different connection in customers' minds. They believe that it is a low-cost product which is used by a lower rung of people, and the Nirma beauty soap, in spite of very good quality parameters. For an example, more than 85 good fragrance, natural fragrance, good weight also, which was comparable or more than other beauty soaps. Nirma beauty soap has failed to pick up. So the person or the provider, that is the people who are providing the service, whether that service is education, whether that's a product, they have to constantly look whether they are falling in love of their own quality standards or whether they want to put those quality standards on the anvil of the customer's viewpoint. So this is the second dilemma. The third dilemma about quality standards is form versus functions. Many times, for example, if there are many female participants, we know that if the dress bright, it looks fitting quite well. It looks very decent when you wear it, but then when you wear it, you feel very discomfortable because of the fabric. So there is a play between the form and the function. Many times we come across such tools where the tool, for example, the pliers, it has sufficient good blade to cut wires, but then so it is good at the function, but then when you want to hold it ergonomically, probably it is very discomfortable. So this is the second dilemma. The third one is novelty versus durability. Nowadays, new generation, if you tell them, I tell my children that take this shoe and it will last for more than 4 or 5 years. So then he will say, then what about new fashion if I want to change after 2 years? So that is a dilemma, whether you are always into novelty or whether you want to go for the durability. And the last part, which is we will be talking more in this presentation, is are we talking of, because Juran and Deming talked of only customer satisfaction. Shall we limit ourselves to satisfaction of the customer, or shall we talk about joy, exhilaration, and delight to our customers or product and through our service? Let's see. So, in this new era, if you want to redefine the quality, I will define it like this. It's a feeling of joy and satisfaction. I'm using the word joy. It's feeling of joy and satisfaction generated in primary customers and stakeholders of a process or an organization. So, as this diagram indicates, it has to be a fusion of belief of the providers of the good quality, belief of the providers about the good quality, So if I think something is good, may not be good for my students, may not be good for my other stakeholders, that is faculty members. Same way, perception of the customers, and then there has to be certain objective parameters. For example, if you talk of education institute, bench design, the comfort of the bench, the height of the bench, the breadth of the bench, the weight of the bench, durability of the bench can be objective parameters, but the perception about the color for the students, perception about the color of the bench for the faculty members may differ. And maybe as a registrar, I may say that no, black color is good because it doesn't get dirty. So my belief of my stakeholders in some objective parameters, this all has to be used so that it brings joy, satisfaction to the stakeholders of this particular process. I'll give you an example about this perception part. Harvard University made a study, and they saw that they studied Chrysler Corporation, they studied Ford, and they studied General Motors also. And they studied, they could find out that most of these companies introduce the innovations from 25% to 34% of levels. Companies claim that we have innovated our products maybe by 25%, maybe by 30, or maybe by 34%. And that much quality standards we have introduced in our products. Now, the same Harvard team surveyed the customers, and the customers say that no, we are not able to perceive 25% with 34% of standards improvement. We feel that it is hardly 10 to 15% improvement compared to the standards of the previous model. So this perception of customers and belief of the providers, the gap is a very important gap which everybody has to understand. I'll give you another example which is more real, because what I understand is there are many doctors hooked in this presentation or in this session. I have my friend who is as a CEO at CU Shah Hospital in Vadwal. So he did his PhD on this perception of standards by the patients and perception of the quality standards by the healthcare providers, means doctors and the nurses. And he could find out that there was a huge gap of 20% to 40% between this perception. So what was perceived as a good standard by the doctor were not perceived good by the patients. And many a times, what were perceived good by the nurses were not perceived good by the doctors. So this gap between perception of the customers and the belief of the providers becomes a very important parameter. And that's why I say whether it is a reality or whether it is a mirage. So let's see what is happening in the quality, having understood this concept, what is happening in the quality systems in higher education. In our country, we have quality systems like NAC, NBA, NABH, recently launched NIRF, and then there are certain states who have their own ranking system. At least I am aware about Gujarat system, which is, they also have NIRF. So what are the commonalities between this quality system? The commonalities are, they provide the guidelines about the good practices. We can say that those are good standards or good benchmarks. I have my doubts about benchmark, but still I will go by that. And then they are heavily relying on intense documentation proof that you are obeying these guidelines. And further to this, recently NAC has come out that you will be submitting all your parameter compliances, and NAC will be assessing 75% as based on the proof, only 25% something subject. So this intense documentation to prove your processes is characterized in all these quality systems. I have experienced that with UGC also. I have experienced with that with AS also. So what is missing in this quality systems? Which is missing is how to gauge experiences of the stakeholders and then continuously improve practice, bring joy to them. So if I take an example, the question asked in the system is, do you take student feedback? We tick mark, yes, we take the student feedback. Where are the documents? These are the documents. Do you review the student feedback? We say, yes, we review the feedback system. And the compliance is made. I'm telling that we have to move beyond that because the student batch changes every year. So every year, the student's expectation, every year, the student learning diversity will be different. And if we are going to stick to the same system, probably we are missing the bus. We are doing injustice to our. So this is what I feel that it is missing: the joy, the experience, good experience, or the bad experience. All this. How do we capture into the quality systems? So what is to be done? Having preached all these, having defined what is to be done, somebody may ask, you are preaching a lot of things, so what is to be done? I say that we have to move from total quality management to total experience management. And I'm talking of experience of all our stakeholders. We have to be very diligent in defining our stake. For my university, I will put students as my stakeholders. I will put the faculty members as my stakeholders. Then I will put parents as my stakeholders, and so on and so forth. So each and every stakeholder's experience is very important when I define my quality management systems. So let's see. So along with the implementation of the quality systems is essential a robust stakeholders feedback. The word robust means that it has to be very reliable, one. Number two, look into India's scenario, it has to be anonymous because many times if we talk of students, the anonymity becomes very important. Otherwise, the student fear the witch hunting. Robust also means, as Deming called of consistent. So it should, every time you use it, it should give the same outputs, the desired outputs. So that is what I talk about robust. I also mean robust that this feedback system cannot be tempered by anybody. This feedback system should be user-friendly. Anybody who is in charge of quality system should be able to understand, should be able to implement it. So this is what I mean by robust feedback system. And this is not only sufficient. What is more necessary is attitude of the providers, the people who are responsible for maintaining the quality standards, their attitude which matters. Very important for taking actions on the robust feedback system. So I have pointed this diagram. You have a robust feedback system, you have a good quality standards. They have to be realigned based on the feedback, but the realignment can happen only if the providers, those people who are at the helm of the affairs, they are ready to change themselves. For example, a student feedback comes that my canteen food is bad or it is worse, then rather than taking it in my ego, management ego, I should be ready to change it. The same way, if a teacher receives a feedback from the student that yes, your punctuality is not good, or maybe your content is not relevant to your course, he or she, rather than taking it on the ego, they should be ready to change their mode of teaching, change their behavior, change their content, whatever it is. And mind it, this is the most difficult part of it, of the providers, because feedback system can be designed in nowadays easy to design your softwares. Putting the standards, they are also available on the Google. All the standards are available. So it is the attitude of the providers, the people who are on the forefront in providing the quality. Their attitude makes a difference. So let's see. This is a small quote by Mahatma Gandhi. We can replace that the word customer by stakeholder. Gandhi said that, mind it, he said far back in 1890 that a customer is the most important vehicle on our premises. And say stakeholder is the most important person for us. He is not dependent on us. We are dependent on him. He is not an interruption in our work. He is the purpose of it, not an outside in our business. You can say he is not an outsider in our organization. He is part of it. We are not doing him a favor by serving him. He is doing us a favor by giving us an opportunity. Probably I feel many organizations have missed this particular part. Ironically, I have seen many public sector banks putting this banner, but my experience has been quite different because they have never felt that they are dependent on us because salary was being paid government. Anyways, that is a different philosophy. But this becomes a very important poster for all of us, very important those who want to change. That we should understand that the stakeholders, we are not doing any upkar on our stakeholders. It's they who are doing upkar on all of us by providing us an software. So let's move ahead. So what do we do? As I said, one part of, if you see this diagram, one part is the quality standard. They have to be realigned through the robust feedback system. But there is one smart way also. This is called the Pareto principle. Pareto was an economist, again in 1848 to 1923. So Pareto studied economy, and he pointed out that 20% of the parameters in the economy are making 80% changes in it. And then, based on that, Julian, who is again the quality guru we talked about, he was statistician also, so he brought it out that this rule is available not only in economics, available in quality management, it is available in many other sectors of life. I will give an example. In almost all organizations, the 20% who are working very hard to create 80% of the results. So coming back to our quality standards, when you want to establish a good quality standards, you have to identify there will be 20% very high, 20% standards. If you focus on them, you will be able to bring in satisfaction to 80% of the stakeholders. So this is a very, what you can say, detailed exercise, very strenuous exercise. So the diagram seems very simple, but if that is done, our efforts can be focusing on the 20% of the standard, and we are resulting into or joy of maybe 80%. So Pareto's law and Pareto's principle can be creatively applied to other sectors also. So one part of quality standards we can apply this Pareto principle. Second about quality standards is this, that how do you focus on the quality standards? How do you say that this is a good standard? So very simple. Again, I'm relying on one more scientist, David Maxwell, who was professor of psychology, Harvard Business in Harvard, and he said that I don't want to go by intelligence. He said that I don't want to go by the resume of the people. He said that for me, the successful person is the person who is practicing success, who is bringing successful results. That is the person who is successful, according to me. So he said that we have to go for criteria sampling. We have to find out people who are doing quite good in their sector, try to find out their practices, and if we can emulate, we can incorporate those practices, then that will be the best. And he named that particular part as a competence. So I'll read his words. Criterion sampling means that testers means for us, the providers or the people who are responsible for setting the standards. The testers have got to get out of their offices where they play endless word and paper and pencil game. How much 1973 also Derek Maxwell knew was it in the office. Pencils and games, and into the field where they actually analyze performance into its content. Want to test who will be a good police? Go find out what a good police is. So criteria sampling can be done in an organization to identify good quality standards which are bringing satisfaction to the stakeholders. We have recently started an exercise in Charles, and we have identified the teachers rather than going into the theory of um, various theories of good teaching and understanding student psychology and all that. We identify the teachers have consistently good student feedback over 5 years, over 10 years. And we are trying to list out their practices. And we will try to then pass on those practices to the new teacher. But look, you do these practices in your teaching methodology, and you are likely to have satisfaction of the student, joy of the students, because these students have been giving more than 95% feedback levels to the teachers. So this is two part of the quality standards, Pareto principle and criteria sampling, but there can be other things also which I think beyond scope of this particular. Moving ahead, I was talking of the attitude to change of the providers. So what does this attitude comprise of? What do we mean by the attitude of the provider or customer's joy? What I feel is that first should be willingness to serve. As Gandhi said, we have to understand that our students are not dependent on us. We are dependent on us. And that brings the willingness of our state. The second would be willingness to consider the feedback dispassionately. So if I get a negative feedback, I have to take it very, very objectively, find out what is the reason, and act upon it. If I get overly positive feedback, then also I have to have a red light, bip, 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 why it is overly positive. So this is what I mean by dispassionate feedback. Anyways, we are aware of dispassion as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Samatva Mutsa, have to have a balanced view of everything. The third part, which is again very difficult to implement, better said, but hard to implement, is willingness to change. Because based on feedback, you will be required to change, try to change your systems drastically, maybe change your gradually. So change. As a side talk, I will say that yes, like only gradual changes. They don't like abrupt changes, abrupt innovations. So maybe that can be how to manage this change. The fourth quality would be empathy. Empathy, the very good word in Gujarati is sahanubhuti, means the same feeling. The person, what the stakeholder feels, if we try to feel the same, we have to have the empathy. I will quote an example of today morning only. I was approached by a parent, who came shouting that, look, my girl has faced an injustice in her last exams. She has been unnecessarily penalized by the teacher. She has been performing quite good, but now she has been given very bad marks. So I then brought the mark sheet, and I could find out that the girl was first class and distinction. So then the parents said that Emma should take you first class and distinction. So what? He is facing injustice. So had there been no empathy, I would have just said that nothing can be done, get out. But then I tried to find out what is paining matter to the person. And I could find out that the girl was in competition with her classmate, and her classmate was getting 0.01 grade point more than this girl. And that was the pain point for the father, that his daughter was depressed just because of this competition. So, but instead she was raising fingers to our grading system. So, but unless you empathize, you are not able to find out what is the real pain point. So, empathy becomes very important. And the last is humility. So, let's see what Gandhi talks about humility again. Gandhi gave a talisman. Talisman, as we say and translate in Hindi, it is taviz. In Gujarati, it is taviz. So, Gandhi says, I will give you a talisman. Whenever you are in doubt, or when the self becomes too much with you, apply the following test. Recall the face of the poorest and the weakest man whom you may have seen, and ask yourself, the step you contemplate is going to be any use? Will he gain by anything by it? Will it restore him to a control over his own life or destiny? In other words, will it lead to the Swaraj for the hungry and spiritually starving million? Then you will find your doubts and yourself melting. The undercurrent of this message of Gandhi is the same: humility and empathy. We should be humble enough to go to the downest level to find out what our stakeholders are feeling, and we should be able to empathize with them. Try to understand the problem from their viewpoint rather than being arrogant, rather than being haughty and scolding them or giving them ultimatum unnecessary. I hope this particular talisman, just like Gandhi's view on custody, can be modified, where we can say that we have to look into the weakest student in our class, and we have to find out whether whatever we are going to introduce is going to be bring joy, is going to bring any change in the part of that student's life. So this is what Gandhi said. Uh, so that's the part of the attitude part of the. So if I summarize, as we started, whether the quality is reality or mirage, we say that it is somewhere in between. It is mix of reality. It is mix of perception. There is relational quality and there is absolute quality. I'll give you a short story about the relational quality part. That in a village, there was a doctor, and there with him there was his assistant. Now in village, we all know that doctors also treated the animals. So one day, one man called the doctor. He said that my camel has a swelling in the throat. So what do we do for him? So the doctor went there, inspected the camel, and then asked the owner that where was your camel? So he said that the camel was grazing in the orchard of uh, watermelons. So this doctor was smart enough, so he find out that probably this camel has swallowed the whole watermelon. What did he do? He told his assistant that put a small stone under the throat of the camel. From the top of the throat, he gave 2 or 3 punches to the camel's throat, and the watermelon got broke up, and the camel could swallow. The swelling went. Now it happened that this doctor had to go somewhere outside, and the assistant was alone in the clinic. Another man came and said to the assistant, "They come to my home. My mother is having a swelling in the throat." And you can imagine what assistant must have done. He punched the throat of the mother, and the mother died. So my point is that just as the remedy is different remedy for different people, you may have experienced this thing in when you travel in Mumbai, that I experienced, that there were some fisherwomen who climbed in a compartment where there were Mali women, means the gardener women traveling, and they felt that the smell is unbearable because they were acquainted with the smell of the fish. And I'm very sure that if the gardener women may have been traveling in the compartment of this fisherman, they must have felt the same. So my point is, equality is something relational. It is many times ephemeral. That's why I say that it is a mix of reality and myth. But the fact is that we see the mirage only when we are standing on not see. We are not on the real land. Second part is most of the quality standards. I'm talking of the education system. The standards like NET and me. They miss the essence. That essence is joy and satisfaction. So my request, my exhortation to everybody for your personal life, for any organization, please look into your standards for the joy and satisfaction. Compliance only to the procedures do not bring joy and satisfaction. Third is organizational quality system and also individual efforts aim for these means for the quality standards bringing joy and not get entangled into the. The last is you have to have that willingness to hear, willingness to change, empathy, the humility, which are the essentials for. I thank Uka Tarsaria University for giving me this opportunity. And the quote I am putting it is from W. Edwards Deming. Deming and Juan both were, as I said, they recreated the quality revolution and put everybody in the company or organization. Organization body inserted by me to work to accomplish the transformation. The transformation is everybody. So it is not only the job of the principal, not only the job of the teacher, not only the job of the management. Though I have been repeatedly quoting Chauset, I can't stop quoting one more. When we had NET inspections, we work with security guards, we work with gardeners, we also work with auto rickshaw drivers who were bringing in our students from Valletta courses to our university. So everybody's job is there for transformation, for bringing in the. Thank you once again. I'm open for questions.
Sir, fantastically put. And very thoroughly, very succinctly put. And you try to make the quality human. You try to make it human. Things you say statement that sometimes quality standards miss the joy and human side of it. That's very true. We quality persons, those also standards of amazing quality and all, they tend to be very dry and very kind of stress. Look everything from that perspective. So it was a nice change from presentations. Very fantastic. There are some questions to you, which are basically put by the audience here.
Yes.
One is quality as given seems to be provider view and not from view. More view, student, parent, employer. Do you think those parameters?
Sir, I'm not receiving the voice, but can you please repeat the question?
That next standards miss it when it comes to customers. They are more concerned about providers' views.
I would not totally agree with. No, I will not totally agree with you. Because when the NAC team comes, as I said, what are our customers? What are our customers? Who are our customers? If I say for university, our customers are our students, our employees, our parents, the industry people who are taking our students, the industry people who are availing our customer services, our consultancy services. These are our customers. So NEC does come and interacts with these stakeholders. They do take the views of students. They do take views of the parents. They do take views of the employers. So I will partially agree that it is only concentrating on providers' view. It also takes view of the customers. But as I said, not to the essence. They are not trying to find out whether they are feeling joy and aha out of these studies or not. That is what it is. Yeah, thank you. Next question.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. There is another question. It asks, another comment, because of perception, arises, but conflicts are good if that is functional. You mean that there should be conflict with views and customer and do you believe conflict is necessary for making it better?
Sir, again, I am requested to repeat the question, please. I am not sorry.
Sir,
I am not.
No issue, sir. Is this simply a comment which says because of perception,
Yes.
arises?
Because of perception.
Conflict arises.
Yes, it does.
But conflicts are good.
They are.
Conflicts are good. Yeah, they are, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there can be conflict.
See, this is the same loop which I talked of. That perception or the feedback of the customers is very important. Now, these conflicts, you have to take it dispassionately. Whether it is, if you try judging it negatively or positively, it's not going to solve. So rather than naming that as conflict, you should name it as a feedback. Feedback can be of any color.
Yes.
You have to dispassionately look into it. So yes, conflicts are good. Yes, please.
Yeah, rather than being a critique, it should be rather a.
Yes, we have to understand that it is not targeted to us. It is something else. Let us find out the.
Now, is the skewness to reality another statement? It can be reality. Skewness to reality which creates perception. Now, I mean, reality is skewed.
It is not the skewness of the reality which creates the perception. It is the individual characteristics of the customers which is responsible for the perception. So reality is something which does not have any skewness. For example, if you say that my table is the size of 6 feet, so it is going to be 6 feet. There will not be any skewness. But yes, the skewness will come when somebody is watching it through a binocular. Somebody is watching it through a distorted lens. Then there will be skewness. Yeah. So it is more because of the perception of the customer. Yes.
Yeah. Now, perception may not be true due to lack of knowledge.
Agreed. That is why those stakeholders has to be engaged with, and you have to give them knowledge. If time permits, I will give some example on that.
Yeah.
Do we have a time? Very quickly, I'll give the example that we in Charoset were switching over the loan.
Yeah, sure. Just one or two questions then.
Yeah, we were switching our loan from one bank to another bank, and most of our faculty members and our employees felt that this is not a good move. Then I shared the knowledge about why we are doing it, and all of them accepted it. So lack of knowledge will affect the person.
Accepted, I agree.
So we have to engage with them.
Sir, there is another thing. Why so many aspects are covered for quality in education? Doesn't it need to be more specific? This Dr. Ketan Raj asked this question.
Yes, it has to be more specific.
Why there are so many to quality?
Yes. So that's what I said. It has to be specifically targeted only for joy and satisfaction.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
Another.
I'll give a quote that suppose you ask a scientist whether bumblebee can fly or not. Bumblebee flies irrespective of the analysis. So our bottom line should be whether we bring joy. That's it. It should be as simple as that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Any for bringing joy. Yeah.
Agreed. It should be as simple as that.
Yeah. Ultimately, the mindset change. I think
Yes.
we are used to quantitative management. Then qualitative management. How to change mindset?
How to?
I mean, you have institute level. How to change mindset, which is in so far quantitative management. How to make it that you need to manage quality.
By engaging constantly with them.
Yeah.
See, any change is a painful process, both by the people who want to change. You have to constantly engage. You have to constantly engage.
So even if you don't like the
No, there is no fixed formula. You have to constantly engage with the people.
yeah. Any more questions you'd like to me to or
Yeah, please. I'm free. You can take as many you want. Based on your schedules, I am fine.
yeah. No, the US is the last. But just wanted
Oh, no problem.
Sir, there is one question. It is Pareto's principle. Can it be generalized to higher education? Is it fair for that 20%? I could not get it what we wanted to ask.
Can it be generalized to general higher education where 20%?
Is it fair to people who are not
Sir, I'm not sir, your question is not audible. Probably before that there was a typewritten. Okay.
Okay. Should I repeat it now?
Yeah, please.
That's true that Pareto principle can be applied to higher education institutions. But is it fair for that 20%? I mean, it was probably looking at the slide, 20% of the people, 20% of the target achieving or inequality. So is it fair?
Okay, 20%. These 20% people who are doing more work, is it fair to them? I will say like this: these 20% people are doing more work because of their internal motivation. If you have not studied, if you have studied something called self-actualization, these 20% people are people who are doing their more work by self-actualization. Working more itself is a joy to them, so they don't require any other fairness.
Yeah.
I think there is a question from Ketan.
Ketan, please.
No, I'm reading it. Sometimes students' perception is totally different for the teachers. If teacher do not share the teaching material and ask them to prepare their own notes. So in that situation, what to do? I said you have to engage with the students. You have to see what happens that we presume the student will understand. Why? You can say that if some teachers give notes, I do not give notes because I believe in this type of value system and let us experiment whether we will learn or not. So you have to engage. You have to engage with them. I believe that when you engage with the people freely and frankly, most of the problems, perception problems, everything goes up. It's my experience also. You have to engage with them upfront. That's as simple as that. Any more question?
Anybody else? Yeah. So that's it, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Wag, again.
Thanks a lot, Dr. It was a pleasure to listen. Yeah. So,
thank you.
Well, let us call issues. Let us call it a day, and willing to listen to you again some more time. I mean,
always welcome
to listen to you. A very diverse kind of personality involved in so many.
Is my second home. Always welcome.
Yeah.
Also, Ketan,
okay, thank you, Devang sir. Bye. So, dear